Hey guys, welcome back to the fish room. Today we're going to talk about feeding. Do you guys want healthier and more vibrant fish? We're going to talk about food and how to feed your fish like a pro. I'm going to walk you through the three main ways that I actually feed this entire fish room. This includes dry food that I use, live food that I use, and frozen food, and how I make sure that each fish that I've got is meeting its unique nutritional needs. So let's get started and get some of these fish fed. So anyone who has kept fish before, has just started with fish, who has been keeping fish forever, you all started feeding your fish with dry products. So that is what I'm going to start with today. This is definitely like a base staple of this fish room. I use this, I could feed just about this entire fish room with these products. These are just the ones that I like to use. Now I've used a few different types of dry food and there are definitely better ones than others. These are my top favorites and I'm currently using in this fish room and my fish are thriving. So I'm definitely going to recommend these products to you, but let's go through them and I'll talk a little bit about what I actually do to use these products. So when I'm choosing a fish food, I'm really basing it on the protein because a lot of my fish need a lot of protein so that they can go ahead and breed and I can make more fish. So that's what I'm usually basing it off. I like to get things higher in protein depending on who I'm feeding, because I do have a couple of fish in this fish room that definitely want more of a vegetable-based sort of food. So a lot of the stuff that like my angels and things like that, they want more meaty, high protein stuff. So I do look for that in my dry food. So a couple of my favorites, especially the DRP. This one is a high protein. It's great for a lot of fish, especially like rams, angels and things like that. This does have a high protein, so we are looking at 51% protein and then 11% fat and 3.5% fiber. Now that is great. I like to add a little bit more fiber to my babies. So this is definitely one of the products I'll use, and I'm gonna go into what I'm actually gonna do with all of these products at once and feed everybody just a minute. So keep watching if you guys are interested in that. The DRP is a pellet, and I have found that a majority of my fish do really enjoy it. The next one I've got here is some flake products. Now this is Aqua Much. Really like these guys. This is actually a new addition to my fish room, and so far so good. I've been crushing it up and the fish has been really enjoying it. This is the one that I sort of started on. This is the Breeder's Blend. So this is again another high protein flake. And then my color blend. Now this, fabulous. It has really upped my game with my colored fish, particularly oranges and reds. So with this color, and this is the other color one, the Dimax Probiotic Added Color Plus. I do mix these two together very often, which is what I tend to do with a lot of my foods. That's a flake, this is a sinking pellet. But they both offer really good color enhancing properties, which is great. So I really noticed it with my guppies. I've got some koi guppies. And when I first started breeding them, a lot of them didn't have the red cap. And I really wasn't into that. So I started to line breed them a little bit and I added this food to their daily regime. They mostly got this food and some live food, and that really helped with their colors to come through. And now pretty much all of them are showing me the correct color that I want. So line breeding with the color food has really come through and benefited that line of guppies. I really did want to bring this food up in particular. My fish love this food. I've been feeding it now for a while and I really love it. So I really did want to show you guys this particular food. This is a local blend. I've got a local fella who I've actually spoken to quite a few times, and he actually makes this food. It is all fresh ingredients. It is high in protein, high in fiber, and full of great nutrition for just about every fish. So the other great thing about Niskai Aquatics is that the actual Omni Chunks come in 3 different sizes. So this one here that I've got is the micro. So it's sort of like a powdered form. Now you can also get this in a mini and a midi, which is just different sizes for different fish. For example, this particular powdered size is really good for fry. Now I actually feed this to all of my fish because I like to spread the food around. But the mini is great for like your 3 centimeter fish. So guppies, rasboras, things like that. We've also got the midi, which you can go ahead and feed to anything that's up to 10 centimeters or even more. So I've fed this to my angels, I've fed this to my corridores, plecos, like I mentioned before. Absolutely fabulous food. I can't rave about it enough. It's got wonderful ingredients, including black soldier fly larvae, spirulina, bee pollen. Bee pollen is like a wonderful ingredient. I don't think there's actually enough foods out there that have bee pollen in them. And some soy meal, which is a great source of amino acids to support growth. The same brand in their shrimp food. My shrimp don't eat anything else. This is all that I give them and they love it. Every time I pop one in, they all come running to the front for it, which is awesome to see. Because definitely when I've got enough shrimp now that there's probably not enough food in the tank just with biofilm, although they are still grazing all the time, popping one of these in every second day or so, they absolutely adore it and it's always gone the next day. Definitely can get this on his website. I am going to put the link in the description below if you are interested. I can't rave about this product enough because it's so good. Like my fish adore it. So I've gone through all of the food for you. What I tend to do with this food is I actually make my own custom mix. Basically, I take what I want to feed my fish, so depending on who I'm feeding. So this particular mix, I actually feed to my guppies, my platies, my mollies, my corridores, and of course my aspidoras as well. I find that they really, really like this mix. I also tend to pop this mix into my community tank, as it'll feed an array of different fish and everyone in there seems to really quite like it. They all come out and ready to eat it. So I'm going to show you my custom mix and how I crush it all up and how I make it because we're getting a bit low. So what you're going to need is your fish food and of course your something to crush it up with. I'm just using a mortar and pestle and your container. So what I like to do now, I don't really measure much out. I just basically make it look like, is that enough? That's enough. So I like to get my DRP. That tends to be my first one because this is kind of the staple as well. This is the DRP 2 growth formula. So it's sort of smaller pellets. I'll show you. Smaller pellets. I'll just pour in a little bit. Like I said, I don't measure, I'm just pouring it in. And then I crush it up to even smaller pellets. Because a lot of my fish are also really, really small. They don't need massive pellets. So I'm not gonna make it too like super powdery, but it is gonna be more of a fine mix. I also find that this mix is really good for any auto feeders as well, which I definitely use auto feeders because I've got a full-time job. I'm not here all day. My babies need food 3 times a day, so we have auto feeders. But we're basically making, it is like powdery, but it's not super, super fine. Sort of like sand. That's what we're doing. That's what we're aiming for. So that's our first staple. That's our main staple. That's going to give us all of the main ingredients that we need. So the next thing I do is I tend to go in with my color flakes. Depending on how I'm feeling, I'll go for this one. Otherwise, I will just go with my flakes. So Aqua Munch. So just a little bit of that. It's sort of like what we're looking at. So that's that one. Now, the next one I'm gonna add in is this one. Like I said, I love this food. I actually just have to pour this in. I don't even have to crush it because it's already crushed for me. So I do about that much. About that much. So stick my lid back on and then we're going to shake it up. So that's pretty good. I think I'm going to add in, just having a look at the ingredients. Now that's the other thing that you can do if you want to mix your food up to give them a variety of food, which is basically why I do this. I do this so that they have all these little options. So when you put it in the tank, it's like they have, it's not like the wild, because in the wild they're not getting a handful of food. But in the wild, when they're out there, they're not picking the same food up all the time. It's a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, which is why I do this, to mimic that idea. So while these fish are grazing on the bottom or grazing through the leaves or whatever, and they find a little piece of this, it's mimicking that idea that they don't always get the same thing every time they take a bite of something. So that's kind of why I do this. So it's all sort of different. You know, and different flavors, different textures, things like that. Then all I have to do, shaky, shaky, shaky. And that is a mixed dry food right there. So that's dry food. Now, I feed 3 tanks in this entire fish room frozen. Frozen food is an absolutely fantastic option, especially if you can't do live food. If you don't have the means to be culturing live food and having stinky things all around your room and making worms and things like that, totally get it. Totally get it if you just simply don't want to. 100% on your side. I get it, man. Frozen food. Frozen food is your friend. You want to amp it up. You want to give your fish the best food possible with your means. Frozen food. You can get brine shrimp frozen. You can get mosquito larvae frozen. You can get bloodworms frozen. You can get, I think you get black worms frozen. If you can't, you get them freeze dried. Daphnia frozen. Great, awesome. Now, I feed 3 tanks in this room frozen food simply because of the protein, and they like it, basically. The first tank is my Senegal Bashirs. I love these fish, I think they're the best fish ever. But they love a frozen food. I actually give them a mixed frozen food, so it's like a carnivore mix. I think it's, yeah, a carnivore mix. Love it, they love it. They come straight to me, they take their food, they have a little bit of a munch, and they get on with their lives. They absolutely love it. The second tank that I feed this to is my leopard frog plecos. Well, I mean, I want to say they love it, but I don't know, because I don't see them love it. They just sort of like ignore us when we put the food in, and then at night they eat it, and then we come back in the morning and it's gone. So usually I would say that they are enjoying it enough that they eat it all. So good on them. The third tank and the final tank is my hill stream loaches, because they like the protein. I don't feed them frozen all the time. Sometimes they get dry, and I do also feed them baby brine on top of. So they get protein for them to lay eggs. I've got a pair in there and then a whole bunch of babies that I haven't bred. I actually got those babies given to me through a swap. I did not breed them. And they seem to be fine. They seem to be living their best lives. So when you're feeding frozen food, you want to make sure that you thaw it out. Don't just put the ice cube in the tank. You got tropical fish. You put ice cubes in your fish tank. Good on you. Don't do that. So you just want to thaw it out. Make sure it's all nice and thawed and soft. Thawing is really easy to do. I got my bag of frozen food here. This is the carnivore mix I was sort of telling you about. Now I just break off like a chunk of it. So that's my little chunk of frozen food. All I do, get myself some tank water. I can actually also use fresh dechlorinated water as well. So let's thaw that out. So that's now pretty much thawed. It's all sort of soft and squishy. It's all sinking to the bottom. So it's working out really well. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna feed it. It's really easy. You just pop it in your tank and let your fish enjoy. So we've spoken about dry, we've spoken about frozen, let's talk about live. Now live food is definitely my favorite food to feed, and I feed live food here in the fish room every single day. I do this because a lot of my fish, especially like, for example, my pea puffers, will only eat live food. And all the other fish really enjoy it. So why wouldn't you do it? If it's easy enough for you to culture them, why not? Now, behind me, you can see that I have my baby brine shrimp egg hatcheries. These hatcheries have done wonders for my baby brine. I used to do it out of bottles, and I actually did a whole video on how I hatch my baby brine shrimp. It is still completely true. Everything I do in that video is exactly the same, except I am now using slightly different vessels. That is all. These are the Ziss hatcheries. I really like them. I find them really easy to use. I've had no issues. The only thing that I modified on this particular model is I just put a little bit of air hose. You can't see. A little bit of air hose there so that that's a little longer. So it gets right to the bottom and bubbles down the bottom in here. Because I found that sometimes eggs would collect in here and they wouldn't hatch, and that was an issue. So all I did was add a little bit of air hose just to make it a little longer. But other from that, I love them. I think they're fabulous, they're easy to use, and I also with the lids and everything, it's just made a massive difference in my fish room. So I do enjoy them. I do these every single day. My baby brine take 2 days to hatch. So I have one on. So as soon as I'll drain this one, I'll put another one on. Tomorrow I will drain this one and then pop that one on, and then I'm back to this one. So that's how that sort of works in here. The next live food that I like to feed is banana worms and micro worms. I have another video on how I culture these. I use mashed potato. You can use oats. You can also use Weet-Bix, I believe, which is an Australian thing. I don't know, I think that's a worldwide thing. I'm pretty sure Weet-Bix is Australian. It's just like a wheat breakfast bar. I think people have also used rice. Someone messaged to me and said that they use rice, and I think that's awesome. So anything that's sort of gonna create that sort of yeast and bacteria in it is what you wanna use. That's what the worms feed off. So if you are interested in culturing them, please have a go and have a look at my videos. I will link them in the description below. So definitely check them out. So those are the two in here that I culture. Now I also culture white worms. I culture them out in my garage because they like a little bit cooler. And I just feed them bread. I just put bread in there, put a piece of, I just put bread in there. I just put a piece of glass on top and they go ahead and eat that, which works for me. So the brine shrimp, every single fish in this fish room, except for my Berkeas, will get brine shrimp, every single one. Sometimes I do not feed my guppies simply because they have had dry and they don't need it. Sometimes I do. Depends how I'm feeling that day. Also depends on how much brine shrimp I have. If I got too much brine shrimp, they get a little bit. If they don't have enough brine shrimp, they don't get any. Is what it is, sorry. I then go ahead, I'll feed my micro worms or my banana worms to all of my itty bitty baby fry. So we're talking Cory fry, we're talking pea puffer fry, we're talking the rainbow fry, every fry, anything that's in like a little fry container. My angel fry, I've got some angel fry at the moment, which is really exciting. I will show you those itty bitty babies. So I'll feed that to all of them. They get that 3-4 times a day because it will last in the water column. So the first thing I do in the morning is before I go to work, I come all the way down here. I put a big dollop of worms in my angel fry tanks. This will last 11 hours in the water column, which means that if they have a mass amount of worms in there, it's not putrefying the water, and they have something to feed on while I'm not there. So not only do they get brine shrimp in the morning, they also get their worms. They then get worms when I get home, and brine shrimp for dinner plus worms as well. So they get it about 3-4 times a day, depending on what I'm doing. Now, my corridors, my adult corridors and my sort of bigger baby corridors, they go ahead and get white worms and they get baby brine. So they will be feeding, white worms for them and baby brine, plus whatever the adults will get also a little bit of dry for snuffling as they go about their business during the day. So they get a lot of food that way. I do feed quite a bit. I am an overfeeder, I would say, but I also clean my tanks regularly. So that is something to also keep in mind. You cannot overfeed your tanks if you are not doing water changes. Your plants are just not enough. They're just not enough. They're not gonna eat up and feed. They're not gonna eat up and get rid of all of that yucky, rotten food at the bottom. They're gonna get rid of, your nitrates and that in your water, not yucky food. So if you are overfeeding your fish, which I know is a lot of people do that because it's like the best part about having fish is you get to feed them. Like that's the best part. You have to clean up food that is not eaten. Usually the next day, if you see food at the bottom, you need to clean that food up. So I tend to do that. My fish are pretty good though. What I'm feeding currently gets eaten because I'm very, very particular on how much food I'm putting in depending on how much fish are in that tank. I've got a tank with 3 fish in it. I'm not putting 3 different kinds of food in there. They'll get a little bit of baby brine and that's them good for the rest of the day. Where my community tank, which has angelfish, hoplos, guppies, balloon mollies, they'll get brine shrimp, they'll get dry food, and they might get some white worms. They probably won't get white worms. They probably get dry and brine. That's usually what I'll feed them, and they will eat it all. Those hoplos are like vacuums. They just eat everything. So, you know, it depends on the tank. Make sure that you're feeding correctly to your tank, but like I said, I do overfeed a little bit. So if I do find a tank that's got food at the bottom, clean her up. That is how I feed my fish. Now, I know that I labeled this video how you feed your fish like a pro, but let's be real, I don't think I'm a pro. This is just what's working for me, and I'm doing really well. My fish are thriving, so I wanted to share that information with you guys to make sure that you knew how to feed your fish and how to have a thriving fish tank. So that's what I'm doing. I also said earlier in the video, if you are overfeeding, make sure you are cleaning out that food afterwards, because no amount of plants are gonna clean that water for you after you've left rotten food in there. So make sure you clean that old food out if you have overfed. Water change, water change, water change. That is always a good idea as well. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Tell me about your experiences. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you feel. Tell me about your fish, because I definitely want to hear it. Any questions or anything like that, I'm happy to answer. If you have any ideas for kind of videos you want to see, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, on that note, I'll catch you on the next one.